to have a great meeting, and each one of us is going to find the expectations as you have them at this point. It's my hope that you have joined this conversation with a particular goal, either personal or maybe for someone else or on behalf of someone else. Because stress management and conflict management is a very personal thing, I believe you are here to benefit in a particular way. So I invite you, and if you're in a family setup, I think this is a conversation you can even listen in with your young people, with your children, and with the other people that may be around you. Uh, of course, I think it's not a private conversation, and we are all candidates of stress, as we are going to see. So my name is Samuel Kanja. I will be taking you through, and maybe we can start with a word of prayer. So let us pray. Father, we come before you this good evening. We thank you for the gift of this day. We pray that this session you may guide us, all the deliberations that we are going to make. Open our eyes, open our minds, open our hearts so that we can be receptive. May the power of the Holy Spirit be upon us so that whatever we share may be from your side. We pray that even those who are about to join us and those who are already here, you may prepare their hearts. We pray all this, believing and trusting. Amen. Yeah, so welcome to this conversation. And I would request that you can put across your expectations. And in case you have any questions, you can either send them on chat, you can do it on a private message, you can even do it on my phone if you have my number, so that we don't have to maybe even say where it is coming from, if that's how you would want it to be. But I hope you can be doing that as we exchange in this conversation. And I think this is one of the most interesting conversations that I usually have with people when we engage in different institutions and even at personal level, because it's a very exciting topic. Exciting because no matter how you look at it, you still come to the same point of maybe how it happens, what is supposed to be done, and what maybe are the interventions. And because we have a lot to cover, I've prepared a few slides just to guide us, to guide the conversation. But believe you me, most of the things we'll be talking about are beyond maybe the slides that we are going to have. So I invite you to this conversation, and I hope you are going to get something out of it. And also you are going to benefit, because that would be my joy. So karibuni sana as I do the sharing. Yeah, so the topic of the day, I hope you can see the screen. Maybe someone can confirm. Someone can confirm to me if you can see the screen on your side.
Yes, I can see the screen on my side.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, so the topic today, as I was trying to say in the introduction, is stress and conflict management. And maybe some people will ask, why are these two topics coming together? They are very wide topics, by the way, but why are they coming together? We are going to see the connection between stress and conflict. And this conflict can either be internal conflict, that is within you, that is the inner you is in conflict, the self is in conflict, or it can be conflict with other people, or it can be conflict with the nature, it can be conflict with beliefs, it can be conflict with the environment. So this conflict is wide, but maybe here we zero it down to the inner conflict and also the conflict with other people. Then, as we are going to see what stress is, what does it mean, what are the levels of stress and all that. Then we have a sub topic there, take control and spice up your life. The aim of having this topic is not to eliminate stress from our lives. As we are going to see, it's very hard for us to say no to stress. Say no to stress like it is not something that you'll ever have in your life. Maybe that point we may not get to that. It's not easy to get to that point, but it is, we take control as individuals, and maybe as the people who are confronted by this stress, we take control And then we even go ahead and spice up our lives so that we can enjoy it. Because what is life? Maybe that's part of what we are going to look at. And why do we live, for example? What is this we call good life? You know, is my good life the same way as your good life? Is someone else good life, you know, your good life? When you see people living well and you admire to be like them, when you become like them, is it a guarantee that you'll be stress free? Sometimes you look forward, like when you are young, you look forward to move from nursery school. When you are young, actually, you look forward to going to school. Then after that, to go to class one. After that, to get to class eight. After that, to finish form four. After that, you are done with the college and you are happy that life will be very good, no going to school. You are done with the studies. Then you get a job. And the next thing you are thinking about is getting another job. You get that other job, a promotion. Still, stress is following you. You aim of starting your own business, you actually do. You aim of getting a family, you actually do. But that family still becomes the source of stress to you. You know, that job still becomes the source of stress to you. Then from there you say, you know, you want to get to self-employment, and you actually get to self-employment. You go there and you still realize there are challenges even in that area. Then after that you get self-actualized, you know, where you are not struggling with the basic needs, with your growth in career. You have already got maybe to the apex of your most of the things. Family is okay, you know, career is okay, maybe your spirituality is okay, but you are still stressed by many other various things, and maybe even smaller things that anyone would not think you are being stressed by that. Maybe it is the extended family, maybe now it is your children who are already married, now they are divorcing, and that is what is stressing you. Your marriage is already okay, but you are being stressed that your children are not having a good life in marriage. Maybe you have a good job, your children are not employed, and that one is stressing you. So stress is not something we can say we are going to eliminate like 100%. That's why we need to take control and spice up our life for this area. And I believe that is the starting point. And I will be taking you through this myself. I'm a counselor, I'm a life coach, and also another. I do training with the Ultimate Excellence Limited. That's just a platform that I use. So anyway, we'll come to that later. So when we come to stress, what exactly is stress? In our next slide, we are going to see what stress is, maybe and definition for those people who may not have it clearly. You know, then what are the stress indicators? What shows that someone is stressed? What is this that when you it's happening in your life, you would feel like, yes, I'm actually stressed? Can stress be avoided, you know, or can it be managed? I think that's what we have answered in the previous slide. Stress cannot be avoided 100%. What we are called to do is to manage stress. And managing means reducing, mitigating its effects on us, on our lives, you know, reducing the impact that it has on us, on our lives. That's the best we can do when it comes to stress. We may not avoid it completely, you know, in our lives. Provided we are living, stress is part of us. I hear only people who are dead. Those are the ones who are not stressed. But we don't know. Maybe they are stressed by the fact that they don't know when we are going to have the resurrection. You cannot avoid the stress when you are living. Stress is part of us. Even when you are hospital, maybe your last days, you are still stressed by the people you are living. You know, so stress is for the poor, is for the rich. Stress is for the educated and the less educated. Stress is for those people who are employed and those who are not employed. So stress is not something for a particular group of people. Stress cuts across. And that's why we need to be very much careful how we deal with it, because everyone is a candidate. And we all pass this exam of being stressed. There is no person who can say, I don't usually have stress. Well, of course, utasikia watu wakisema kwa Kiswahili, hey, mimi na stress tuliachana. You know, what they are trying to say that I get stress, but I am in control. I can manage that stress in a better way. Then we are saying conflict is number one cause of stress. We are going to see the connection. How is conflict connected with the stress? You know, and this conflict have its own roots. Where does it come from? It either comes from us, the individuals, it either comes from the environment, It either comes from other people, it either comes from nature, it either comes from things that are beyond our control. So these conflicts, they are the ones that cause stress. And then what happens after that? So these are some of the questions we are going to answer as we proceed. If well handled, conflict can become an opportunity. I would want you to imagine life without pain. I would wish that you imagine life without struggle. I would wish you to imagine about life which is certain, because we get stressed because life is not certain. We get stressed because we don't know about tomorrow. We get stressed because we don't know about what will happen to us and maybe to other people around us. The major cause of stress is the uncertainty of life. But now, can you imagine? Can you find yourself in a life where everything you aim, you get it? Everything you do succeeds. Everything that you think about comes to pass. You know, life which is certain. How would that life be? Imagine a life without pain. You know, imagine your child knowing that even if I don't go to school, my life will be like this. How would that life be? I think we would take away the sweetness of life. Life is sweet because of the bitter moments that we have in our lives. Life becomes sweet because of that. Otherwise, if it was all sweet, we may not identify the sweetness. You know, the same way you can say someone is educated among people maybe who are not educated. Someone is rich among people who maybe are poor. Someone is maybe beautiful among people who, in your own judgment, you don't think they are beautiful. You know, you can say these people are living this extravagant life, depending on who are you comparing them with. And that's why maybe we would say, if you are all living alone, no one would be stressed. If you are left alone, you may not be stressed. Reason being what? Stress comes because of the factors that are surrounding you or me. So, what is stress in its theoretical definition? You know, we are saying that stress, if we may read it the way it is, it's an emotional state of mind, you know, as dictated by the happenings. It can also be said to be a state of psychological tension or strain. You feel a strain. It's not painful, it's just a feeling, it is a state of mind. It's different actually from what we call things like depression, because depression has other maybe symptoms which are more, you know, more tangible. You can see them, you know. So it is more of a state of mind. That's why looking at me, you can say I'm stressed because of the expression I'm giving about my state. But again, you can look at me and say I look happy, but in within me or inside me, I am very stressed because it is not something visible. You can only express it. Then stress is any situation that makes you feel emotionally uncomfortable and psychologically disturbed. You know, any situation that makes you feel uncomfortable or somehow emotionally disturbed or psychologically disturbed. So that's something else that we need to understand. Then we have two sides of stress, rather categories of stress. And one of them is eustress. This is positive stress. What is eustress? What are the examples, for example? You know, it's like the way we have there a new job. You just got a new job. You just got appointed somewhere, but you are stressed. You got a baby, you are stressed. You just finished the wedding and now you are going for honeymoon. You are stressed. You want something, you won an award, and it is stressing you because it comes with some level of tension. But this is positive tension. So eustress is positive stress. And the opposite of that is distress, negative stress. You know, such as bereavement, you know, a failed exam, you have lost an opportunity. So that is distress. But useless is positive, distress is negative. And just as we had said earlier, none of them can be avoided. What we can always do is we can manage, but we cannot avoid. Okay, you can avoid some, maybe by avoiding to be in a particular situation, avoiding to be in a particular place, avoiding to be in a certain circumstance. But we cannot wholesomely say now mere distress we don't meet. That's what we are trying to say by saying you cannot avoid. Otherwise, there are those that you can actually let let go. Now we ask ourselves the paradox of life. Can you imagine today the kind of technology that we have, but people are still stressed? Can you imagine how communication has been made able? You know, the phones, almost everyone has a phone, but how poor are people becoming in communication? Imagine the health centers, imagine the health facilities that we have, but people are still getting sick. Imagine the entertainment joints that we have, but people are still not happy. People are still not excited. Imagine how educated people are, but imagine the ignorance that you find on our roads, that you find in our families, that you find in our workplaces, that you find wherever you go. What exactly is happening? Imagine the knowledge that people have about, if those who are Christians, about the word of God in the Bible, those who are Muslims in the Quran. That knowledge is even in the mobile phones. Imagine the churches that we have in that regard. But look at the level of spirituality. Is it higher? Is it lower? You know, imagine the way we are in families where we are not struggling with the basic needs. But look at how disintegrated maybe families are becoming. People are so knowledgeable about so many things, but instead of using that knowledge, it's hurting them. And that is the stress we are talking about. So what is all this about life? The paradox of life. Many things can be projected, many things can be guessed with accuracy, but people are still fearing and anxious about the future when some of the things can be easily predictable. So that is the paradox of life. The better we become, the complex life becomes. You know, you can imagine the 19 maybe 20s, how life was that time. These people didn't have roads, they didn't have cars, they didn't have mobile phones, they didn't have all this knowledge. But look at their quality of life. Was it worse than ours? You may not say yes or no. You need to look at many other parameters for you to answer that question. So why am I asking ourselves to think about the paradox of life? Is because this is where we form our value system. And this is where we come and understand what exactly am I to gain from this? What exactly is life to me? So that what is to stress you, you know what it is. What should not stress you, then you know what is this that should not stress me. Otherwise, life keeps changing, people keeps changing, people keep getting better, and people keep getting worse. So it is a choice. Where are we positioning ourselves? And now we ask ourselves, what are the levels of stress? You know, because stress is in different levels. And level number one is passive stress. What is passive stress? This is stress which you cannot even feel. You know, you are stressed, but it cannot be felt. It is passive. You know, for example, like this session, maybe someone is asking, at what time is it going to end? It is not disturbing you so much, but it is something crossing your mind. You know, maybe you are now stressed. I wish that passive was explained on the screen. You know, I would be reading it. It is something that is happening to you, but it is not even, you cannot even locate it. That is passive stress. So passive stress is any stress that cannot be felt. It cannot be felt. Then we have the mild stress. This is stress that can be felt, but it's not affecting you. You can feel it. You can tell, yes, I'm stressed, but it doesn't bother you. It is not stopping you to do anything. It is not making you get confused and maybe lose direction. It is not stealing your focus. It's just a mild stress, you know. Then the other one is moderate stress. What is moderate stress? This is stress which now is beyond the mild. And this moderate is something you can feel. Actually, you can communicate to people. Today, I feel stressed. You can even go to work and say, today, I'm not feeling very okay. Or this week, I've been feeling like this. Everything you have been doing, that's okay. But you are feeling you are being drained somehow by this moderate stress. It's like the average of stress. It's like the average of stress, moderate stress. And when it is moderate, we need to be very careful because moderate is the one that we can easily manage on our own. Very easy. You can manage it on your own. it, because you can take it back to mild and even passive, and even you eliminate it, you manage it completely. But this moderate, if not well taken care of, it can become severe. And when it is severe, as we are going to see, severe is a level where now this stress is persistent, and also it is causing some, it is causing some gap, it is bringing some emptiness, it is making you feel anxious, it's making you feel concerned, and it's actually affecting the way you are behaving, the way you are thinking, your cognitive behaviors are affected, the way you look at things that are happening around you. The severe level of stress can alter the way you think about it. So that is the severe level of stress. It is one that if it gets to acute levels, now it can lead even to depression and maybe anxiety disorders. So acute stress is severe but very persistent and very particular. And in most cases, when you are suffering from severe and acute stress, you know where it is coming from. Rarely would you be stressed acutely at the severe level when you don't know what exactly is causing that stress. For passive, for mild, and for moderate, it's very easy for you to be stressed, but you don't know why. You don't know why. But the why is in the subconscious mind. It is not in the conscious mind. You are stressed because of something, but you cannot account for that. That is passive, mild, and moderate. But for severe and acute, sorry, you need, or rather, in most cases, or rather, in all the cases, you know why you are stressed. I hope we are still together. And in case you feel like you have a question, you can ask, or maybe if you feel you need to intervene somewhere, you can always do that by unmuting yourself or putting it in the chat. Then we move to the next slide and we ask ourselves, so when does stress become depression? Because I know some of us, we think about depression. I have gone to high schools and colleges, and a child comes or a student comes and says, Mr. Kanja, I have been depressed for so long. Me, I'm depressed. I'm depressed. Then you ask yourself, is it depression or is it stress? So at what point does stress become depression? And what is the difference between the two? We need to be very careful so that we don't, these are not words that you can use interchangeably. They are totally different from each other. Each of these words mean different. Of course, one is a lower level of the other. Stress precedes depression. You cannot have depression without stress. That one, it cannot happen. So stress is like a seed for depression. So stress is not a mental health condition. So when you are stressed, it's not like a mental health condition. Actually, you may not even be required to take any medicine. It tends to have an obvious trigger. You know, there must be something that is triggering that stress, something causing it. That's what we are calling a trigger. Then stress typically resolves as a life events change. It can just solve itself with time. And also sometimes when you sleep, stress goes because it's not a mental condition. It's not a health condition. It's not a disease. However, stress can lead to mental health problems like depression and anxiety. If there are those two conditions, it remains severe and then it persists over long periods without relief. So persistence of that stress, then it is too much. Actually, if mild stress persists for long, it cannot cause depression because it is too small or rather too little to cause depression. But when it comes to severe or acute, and then it persists for long, then that one causes depression. And that's why we need to be aware of that. Let's remember the anxieties, for example, they come with anxiety disorders. You become anxious about life. You start becoming paranoid, and stress sometimes can even lead you to have some personality change within you if it persists for long. And then you start having those disorders. So then both can affect you in similar ways, but there are major key differences. Symptoms of depression can be much intense. So intensity, and that's what we are talking about severity. The intensity is more. They last at least 2 weeks. So if stress is just for 1 day, 3 days, no matter how severe it is, it cannot be depression. Even if you have lost someone to death, if it is 1 2 days 3 days, that is still stress, no matter how acute it is. But when it goes to 2 weeks, 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, now that is depression. And that's how we come to what we call in counseling even post-traumatic anxiety disorders, where you get that PTSD, like a situation where something bad happened, but then it was not managed, it was not relieved. So depression causes powerful mood changes. That's what it's called, a depression. Depression is like highs and the lows. You go to the deep and you go to the highs. So the emotions are not stable. So that's what all depression is. Of course, it's deeper than that. Sometimes it's painful. There's sadness, there's despair, there's exaggeration of feelings, emotions, and all that. So I wanted to make that difference so that as we are discussing, we know where we start on this. Then we go to the other one, and I had already alluded to this in the first slide. Forms of stressors. We have three stressors, or rather, according to me, this is the way I analyze stress, coming from these levels, or rather these forms of stressors. And when you talk about a stressor, it is where does this stress come from? For example, I failed an exam, you know, my relationship is not working. Those are the causes. But how can they be summed up and we say, what are the stressors? So it is the conflict. And what is a conflict? A conflict always comes when there is an expectation which has not been met. Whatever expectation, good or bad, when it has not been met, meaning that the outcome is not the same as the expectation. You expected, imagine like when mothers could not go and check how the babies are before they are born during the clinics. Then you're expecting to get one baby, you get three of them. That looks like a good thing, but it's a conflict. You expected one baby, you have got three of them. So that's a conflict, and it will bring stress, you know, that will bring stress. But when you expected three and you get three, you are fine with it. It may stress you, but now conflict is not the cause, it is the pressure. We need to understand that difference. So conflict is where the outcome and the expectation are different. So there's a deviation. You know, that deviation can either be favorable or adverse. When it is adverse, you get stressed. When it is favorable, either you get useless or nothing happens. So conflict within and conflict without brings stress. Even the way a relationship, if you get married to a man who is drinking and he sleeps outside because of being a drunkard, when you get married and he continues doing that, your levels of stress may not increase because you expected. But imagine marrying someone or getting married to someone who is maybe a church goer, very saved, and all that, and then immediately you get married, they started drinking. That will cause you a lot of stress. Reason being what? It's a conflict. I wanted to explain that so that you get the difference. So if it's your child, you expected them to be done with the school. They are still in school after 5 years. You expected them to be employed. You expect them to be married. You expected a promotion. You expected to buy a car. But that has not happened. So that's a conflict. Then pressure. Where does pressure come from? Pressure comes from the environment and also within. But within pressure comes also from outside. It is a factor. It is a function of what is happening around you, and it starts giving you that inner pressure maybe to do things differently. So when you are pressured to prove a point, to live in a particular way, and this is where we need to establish our value system. What exactly do I want with my life? Where exactly am I going? Are we going to the same place with my neighbor? Are we aiming for the same things? Are we driven by the same values? Are we excited by the same things? For him or for her, maybe they want a great family. For me, I want to be rich or to be wealthy. So when we understand our value system, when we understand what matters in our lives, then we can manage this pressure. And when we manage this social pressure, maybe social media pressure, maybe this pressure from one another, then we may be in a better position to even avoid some levels of stress. Then we go to frustration. This is when you have tried things, they have not worked. Tried again, they have not worked. You have invested your time, your money, your everything, and things are not working. Or you're in a situation where there is no growth and you get frustrated because of stagnation, because of boredom, because of all this. You become discouraged. You get to desperation. When you get to those levels, you get frustrated. There are people who are in a conflict, but they are not yet frustrated. They are ready to deal with the conflict. They still have energy to deal with the conflict. But the energy to deal with the conflict and the pressure, when it is not enough, we get frustrated. We get angry. We get desperate. And in some cases, we can easily give up. And when we give up, we lose our esteem. And when we lose our esteem, we can easily commit suicide. And that's why people who commit suicide, they don't wake up one day and just decide to, to end their life. No, it is something that either happens in the subconscious mind or in the conscious mind, but they are not taking the action. So I think we need to really understand this slide because it's very, very important. Conflict, pressure, and frustration. Then, what are some of the side effects of stress on health? And I talked about health because there are many other effects of stress. And we are calling this side effects because they don't come directly. These are things that they take time first, and then they also come with some different levels of intensity. So hypertension is one thing, stomach ulcers, obesity. And how does obesity come in, by the way? We may not, people may not relate even how stomach ulcers comes in when we are talking about stress. When you get stressed, you either avoid eating or you eat more or you avoid activities. And that's how you get obesity. Remember, when you avoid doing things the way your body is used, you get an imbalance. And that imbalance is in the lifestyle that you have been used to. And that lifestyle, when it is very skewed, it can cause now these conditions that we are talking about. Alcoholism is more of a defense mechanism for stress. You are stressed, so you want to pass by somewhere, take one, two, three, then you go back home. Then infertility, is because in most cases when you are stressed, maybe even your sexual drive is not there, as that other point says. And you'll find maybe many men, they are affected by this. Even women are affected by this, but mostly it's a common problem with men, where in the sex drive, is limited or rather is low because of the stress levels that someone has. Then headache is a very common thing. Even when you are young, you used to say you have headache, unaulizwa kichwa inakuuma kwa nini, kwani umefanya kazi gani, because people thought headache and stress are related. Even today, when you are so stressed, you might get a headache. Then the other thing is disorders, mental illnesses, which in this case I'm calling disorders. And there are many. We have what we call the anxiety disorders, personality disorders, all those things, they are there. And they affect us in different ways. Sometimes these disorders are about food, sleep disorders. There are different kind of disorders, including depression is one of the disorders. Why are they called disorders? They are skewed from the normal. They are not obeying what we call normal. And what is normal is what is generally acceptable, not by every individual, but in the society. That is what is expected to be normal. For example, you are supposed to sleep maybe for 6 hours. That looks normal. So when you are sleeping for 2 hours, it looks a bit abnormal. Not maybe to you, but another person would look at it like that. Or you are sleeping for 12 hours, for 10 hours, something like that. So then we ask ourselves, how can we now manage these conflicts? And these conflicts is with other people, with ourselves, conflict with where we work, conflict with our spouses, conflict with our children, conflict with our expectations, conflict with our goals, conflict with our dreams. How do we manage these conflicts? Number one is understand the root. Where did this all start? Every conflict has its root. Do you understand the root of your conflict? Do you understand where it came from? Do you understand where it started? Do you understand what it means? Understanding the roots of the conflict. Number two is time. By the way, sometimes time heals. Time heals. Even without taking any action, without doing anything, time at the end might end up healing. So time is very important. Sometimes you just need to give yourself time, and that's why we are advised, don't act when you're in a situation of anger, excitement, or emotional imbalance. Give yourself time. The other one is restatement or restitution. This is when you have done something to someone and there's something you can do to revert that. Then that is what is called restatement or restitution. Taking people back or being taken back to where you are before the conflict happened. Then reconciliation. Reconciling is agreeing to move again together. Reconciliation is agreeing, maybe we are finally looking in the same direction and ready to work again together. Again, it's not good to confuse this with forgiveness. You can forgive someone, but you don't reconcile. You can forgive a partner, but you don't come back together. Meaning there is forgiveness, then there is reconciliation. The two are totally different. Sometimes they happen together, sometimes they are mutually exclusive. Like one happens, the other one doesn't come on board. Then negotiation. Sometimes you just need to negotiate. Maybe your conflict is with your supplier, your conflict is with your boss, your conflict is with your child. Negotiation is very important, but it is not compromise. You don't have to meet at the middle. It depends on what you are negotiating about. Then the other one is let go, exit, get the space, or dismiss. Just be done with it. Be done with it. That's let go and all that. Then appreciating change. Appreciating change. What is this that needs to be changed? Because some of us, why we are conflicted or we have conflict, is because we are not ready to change ourselves. People are comfortable with who they are. People are not ready to grow. Knowledge wise, people are not ready to know. And that's why you fight, even after people are done with their degrees, people don't study anything else. People don't read books. People, when they go online, they just want to read funny things, memes, and all that. Even your status, people want just to see the funny clips. Send me this one. Nothing much. People don't want to grow. People don't want change. People don't want a challenge. People want easy life. Easy life is where things just happen. And when things have not happened and they are very bad, people are going to the extreme of looking for solutions. And then because they are desperate, any solution is a solution and they make matters worse. So appreciating change, either in our organization, in our families, in what is happening around us, are we ready to appreciate change? And this change may be an individual. People have changed. Maybe what we forget as human beings is that people change for better, for worse. A human being can either remain the way they are, they can become worse, or they can become better. There is no fourth uh, outcome. The outcomes are those three. You can either get better, you can either get worse, or you can remain the same. And that is change. Even remaining the same, it is still change because the other person might be changing. So when you are not changing, then there is a change in the way people look at you, people you look at life. Then get involved and inform. Get informed is know, have the knowledge, but at the same time, inform others of your expectations, of your rules, of your responsibilities. Like here, the parenting part would apply here. Let your children know what is your expectation, your likes and your dislikes. Let you also understand them. Like, understand here, I mean, let them also express themselves. What are their likes and dislikes? What are their expectations from you? Then humility is also very important. Sometimes just entertain some little foolishness. Don't always get into every battle. Every battle is not worth your time. Choose which battles to be involved. Don't be, a jack of all battles that everything that is happening around you, you are concerned that you must be in that. You lose your energy. Then the other one is just consulting and being together. Being together. I hope you are learning, and I would wish maybe as we continue, you can put your highlights and what you are picking. We are almost there. Then some rhetorical questions I would want to ask you as we go to some of the key interventions that I would recommend on stress and conflict management. Some key questions, and these questions are more of philosophical questions rather than even counseling questions. They are more philosophical questions. One, what is your stress zone? Stress zone is like what area of your life causes more stress? Is it work? Is it relationships? Is it family? Is it career advancement? Is it your spirituality? What area of your life? Is it leadership? Is it your possessions? Is it your talent? Is it time management? Is it your own, image, the self-concept? What exactly? What is your stress zone? Understand it and understand it very well so that you employ some more resources there, some more time there to govern that so that it doesn't get to the extreme. The other one is, what are your stressors? We talked about the conflict, the pressure, and the frustration. And those ones now, you can give very specific example. At the conflict, these are my stressors. At the pressure, these are my stressors. At the frustration, these are my stressors. So what are your stressors? The other one is, how do you manage your stress? How do you do it? Is it by keeping quiet? Is it by going for an outdoor activity? Is it by going for a nature walk? Is it by talking? Is it by expressing yourself? Is it by seeing a counselor? Is it by sharing with a friend? What exactly? Is it by treating yourself? How do you manage your stress? Then what are your expectations? Are they too high? Do you have high expectations? Yes, because expectations are supposed to be achieved not in a vacuum. You are the determinant of those expectations. Like, to what extent can you solve them? To what extent can you in those expectations? So expectations are very, very important. So I'm not saying we don't set high expectations, but when we are setting high expectations, then let us equip ourselves with what we need to get those expectations right. Then what are your values? I've been using this word here and there deliberately. What are your values? And these values are two. Some of the values are the values like we call madiri. What are your principles, or what are the things that govern your life? Those are the values. you know those are the moral values, rather, the religious values, the Christian values, the leadership values, the personal values, your core values as a person. But also there's what we call the values about what matters in your life. Is it a car? Is it a marriage? Is it a beautiful wife? Is it your calling? Is it your service where you work? What excites you most? Some people are excited by having a plot. Other people are excited by living in their own places. But you look at some people in this country, they don't build their own houses. Are we saying they are not happy? Are we saying they are stressed? So, what exactly is your value? Some people want to get to the highest level of education, get a PhD. Other people, when they were done with their diploma, they are okay with that. And they are happy. They are not stressed. So, what is your value? Because when you understand your value, you'll stop running after the wind, competing with the people, imaginary people. So what are your values? How different are you from others? Because comparison is one cause of stress when you compare yourself with others. So comparison is quite hectic. It can become chaotic and sometimes very perennial. Like, you become a perennial complainer. You are this person who complains about everything, everywhere, with anyone, and about anything. So how different are you from others? You are very unique. No two people are the same, actually. Even the identical twins, they are still different in a particular way. So you are different from others. How does that influence your decisions? How unique you are? How does that influence the choices that you make? Your identity. When you are getting into a relationship, do we understand individuality? What we call individuation. Are you complete first? Or do you expect another person to complete you? And when they don't complete you, what happens to you? Maybe you belong to a certain community of people. You belong to a certain group. And you go there for them to complete you. But are you complete yourself? That is, how different are you? By being different, you are not wrong. We say being different is not being wrong. What hard do you choose? Because many things are hard, many things are easy. But even in the easy things, it is not like, a walk in the park. Especially in the life we are living sorry. We have so many things that are challenging our ability. So are you ready to choose your battles wisely? Then what is your locus of control? We'll look at that in the next few slides. Like, what is within your control? What is within your reach? What is this you can do, and which is this that you cannot do? And we go through some of the key interventions, especially to manage stress in our lives. One of them is take control. And this is the most important, by the way. If we head with this slide, we will still be good to go. Of course, we have a few to come, but we will be good to go. Take control. Do you have a problem in life? If the answer is no, then why are you worried? You shouldn't be worried. If the answer is yes, you go to the second question. We call it the dichotomy of control. Can I do something about it? Yes. If you can, then why are you worried? Do exactly that. If you cannot do something about it, why are you worried? There's nothing you can do about it. So this dichotomy of control is very, very important. It is called dichotomy because it has the two sides: problem, no problem. Can do something, cannot do something. So we need to ask ourselves, do we move with this? And that's why my favorite verse in the Bible is Ezekiel that 7 verse 3. Yeah, 3, 4 there. Mortal man, can these bones come back to life? Ezekiel, who was a prophet, a man who believed in God, never said yes. No matter how he knew God is very able. He also never said no, no matter how the bones were dry. He said, Sovereign Lord, only you can answer that. My dear brother and sister, there are many things beyond you. There are many things you cannot control. There are many things you cannot understand. Those that you cannot, leave them to God. What you can, take control of it. And that's why we say, always challenge yourself. Whatever is within your control, let it kill you. Make sure you do it to a point that you can die for it, because you can do something. Whatever you don't have control over, either in a relationship, in your workplace, in your extended family, with your children, whatever is not in your control and you cannot control it, please do not let it steal the joy of life, because it is null and void. Then the other one is what I had talked about: choose your heart. Those are just examples, but the main word here is choose your heart. Things are hard, but what is your heart? Which one are you ready to go for? Which one are you ready to fight for? Which one are you ready to invest your time and your resources? Which one are you ready to invest even your money? Which one are you even ready to go even for counseling for and to seek help? Because it cannot be everything. If people are gossiping about you, is that your heart? If people are being promoted and you are not being promoted, is that your heart? If your children are taking drugs, is that your heart? So we need to ask yourself, what is this heart that you are ready to take? You feel you have a big body and you feel you need to reduce weight. Is it a heart that you are ready to go for? So that's a challenge. That's a challenge. Then the other one is accept life is certain, it's uncertain. Life's uncertainty. Life is not a linear. From school, internship, from there, a manager, from there, executive, from there, self-actualized. Life is not that direct. Sometimes life is down there. It can look, it's a zigzag, it's meandering. It's like a river going back and forth. That's life sometimes. You become different things. So we need to appreciate that the sweetness of life is in the uncertainty of life. And when we understand that, it is very easy for us to come into terms or to terms with what is happening around us. Let us not feel like we have lost anything when life is moving in a different direction. Let us turn and face to the direction of our destiny so that we don't give up. The other one is adaptability. And this chameleon, I don't like chameleons. I fear them a lot. But this is one lesson I like about them. If you look at it, it was coming from a very, maybe a bluish, allow me to call it bluish place. And then it is getting to a pinkish, allow me to say that is pink. It doesn't tell the pink part to change to bluish. It is the one that does that. But most of us, we want people to change for us. We want that partner to change for us. We want the boss to change for us. We want our children to change for us. We want our relatives to change for us. Sometimes, and maybe the word sometimes is used deliberately, we are the ones to change. And that's why self-awareness, self-evaluation is very, very important in this area of stress management. Because if you cannot adapt, not everything will always be in your capacity. Not everything will move according to your plan. So adaptability is very important. The other one is create balance. This is just a quote I came, or rather a posting I came from along in social media by Kate Lesson. And she says, we need to stop glamorizing overworking. Please, the absence of sleep, good diet, exercise, relaxation, a time with friends and family isn't something to be applauded. Too many people wear their burnout as a badge of honor, and it needs to change. I like it a lot because this is it. If you sit down and you ask yourself some crazy questions, you actually realize that you need that balance because you need to be strong. Many people are irritated because they don't get enough sleep. Many people are mad about their boss because they don't relax, even over the weekend. The time you are supposed to relax, you are all over. And you look, 20 years have gone, finally you get rich. But the question is, will you get back those 20 years? The answer is no. So every day is a day of enjoyment. Enjoy as you grow. Don't wait to get to your destiny for you to enjoy. Life is a process. you know let every moment matter. Many people are so stressed, maybe even because they have a loan to do something, which is quite in order, but you cannot stop living today so that you do something 10 years to come. The uncertainty of life doesn't give you that license. Plan things even for 10 years, 20 years to come, but don't forget your today. That's one mistake we are making. Even in parenting, many people, we are doing so many other things but forgetting, if you poor parent today, 5 years, your child is already on the wrong side. Trust you me, you may not get time to bring them back. It's not easy. It's not easy. So we need balance. Balance. Of course, I'm not saying we live all our life today. I'm only saying let's remember balance. Remember balance. Very, very important. Then give yourself time. Be patient with yourself. Stop beating yourself up. You are a work in progress, which means you get there a little at a time and not all at once. Mark and Adejo are the ones who have said that. You don't get, life is a process. You don't get at the end before you start. You don't climb the tree from the top. And if you do, the question is, where had you come from? At some point, you're on the ground. So we need to give ourselves time. Let's not stop being too hard on ourselves. It's not worth. Then the other one is, this is something that people don't remember. And as a counselor, I would really challenge you. Sometimes life becomes sweet when you think that one day you'll be dead. Life becomes sweet when you remember one day you'll not have your best friend, or your best friend will not have you. Life becomes sweet, or rather enjoyable, or you give it your best when you remember that position you are in at work. One day you'll not be there because nothing is permanent. Maybe we may say God is permanent, but on our life here on earth, nothing is permanent. That's why if you look at that leaf, it starts from a very green one, then look at the way it moves, the way it becomes, the way it changes, the way it loses its glory. And finally, we are almost missing it at the end. Nothing is permanent. When you remember that, even as a parent, one day you'll not be there. So are you building your children, for life, so that they will not be stressed by the things that are stressing you? Again, you need to be strong for them. Are you taking care of yourself? Nothing is permanent. I think when we remember that, it can add value to what we do. The other thing is stop masking, be real. Imagine today with social media, but people are still not happy. With all the music in the YouTube, people are still not happy. With all the cameras around, people smiling at the selfies, people doing everything, photos are everywhere. You go to YouTube, you go to Facebook, you go to Instagram, you go to Twitter. It's all about people talking about their life, but people are still not happy. Why? We are a sad generation with the happy pictures. That's it. So we need to unmask and just be real and live our lives. Stop thinking always about what will people say. If you do that, my dear, you may have a very hard life. When we are planning this session, for example, my greatest worry is, what will people say about this? Will they come? Will they not? No, plan, then see what happens. Try what you want to try. What if it succeeds? The good thing is, if it doesn't succeed, you know why it has not succeeded. So give it a shout of faith. Give it a shout of faith. But let's remove the mask. Yeah. Then the other one is intervention is avoiding distractions. Most of us are stressed because we don't even know what we are doing. Most of us, we are stressed because we are so immersed in the many things that we come across that there is nothing that we are good at. You are not good at public speaking. You are a poor communicator. You are not good at work. You are not a good parent. You are not a good investor. You are not a good entrepreneur. You are not a good insider hustling. You are not a good leader. You are not even good at social media. You are not good. You are not just good at anything, because you try so many things, but there's nothing that you have invested your time on. So I think we need also to ask ourselves, even as we grow in many things, at the balancing and all that, let's have an area that we can say, I'm an expert in this, in whatever it is. Whenever you are an expert, you will have a competitive advantage. Then the other one, I love this photo. It's a photo I came across many years ago. I still have it on my laptop. Smell the flowers of life. Just look at that photo. Look at it. They may not be smiling, but look at the admiration of that flower. How many of us sit back and just look at how successful your career is? You know, you look back and you say where God has taken you, where the life you lived when you are young, and today where you are. Imagine some people are so stressed about life, but people, there are many people who, if they were to be given your life today, they will not ask anything else from God except life. So smell the flowers of life because they are sweet. And those flowers are within you. Whatever it is, smell them. Maybe it is children, maybe it's a good job, maybe a nice car, a good place to live, peace of mind, talents, all that. Smell the flowers of life. Otherwise, it may be chaotic if you do not. Yeah, we don't have to go through this. I think we have talked quite about them. It is some ways of lower your daily stress, just some strategies. Maybe I can just read them so that they can get to our brains. One is take off your mask. We have talked about that. Trust your intuition. Let go of the thoughts that aren't serving you well. Decide what matters and what doesn't. Take a deep breath when you need one. Keep sanity in your schedule. Practice gratitude. Detach yourself from the habit of taking things for granted, and personally realize you likely need a lot less than you have. I wish that can stick to us. We need quite a lot less than what we have. Fill your life with lots of experiences, not lots of things. Life experience sometimes is more than having more, being more than having more, going far than having more. So just do your best and appreciate it. Focus on the positives. Let's go what's no longer there. Be humble, be teachable, take small daily steps, embrace self-discipline, practice patience as you work for your desires, exercise love, spend time with the supportive, loving people, walk away from drama gracefully. Then among the last slides is key values in stress management. In most of my talks, or rather all of them, I always put a slide on values that can help us attain the particular topic that we are covering. And today being stress management, I would really ask you to have these values among many other, but these are selected purely for this topic. Assertiveness, stand for something, speak up for something, be principled on something. That is assertiveness. Learn to say yes, learn to say no when it matters. Don't be indifferent. Have a stand. Kuwa na msimamo na umakinike. That's assertiveness. Have purpose. Always know why you are doing what you are doing. Because when you know the why, the stress will be reduced. But without the why, anything can stress you. When you know the why and there is pain and there is struggle and there is strain, you feel less of it because you know why you are doing what you are doing. A mother who is pregnant A mother who is expectant, they don't complain, because they know what is coming. They don't go around, doing exercise to reduce out their size because they know what is inside. It's life. So the purpose is very, very important. So ensure that you have a purpose for whatever you do. Responsibility. Always take responsibility. And allow me to say this, and you may not agree, but go thinking about it. In everything happening in your life, you are responsible in one way or another, whatever it may be. Whatever it may be, you may not be at fault. You may not be the cause. You may not be the one who brought it. But when it happens to you, you are responsible for it because it has happened to your life and that life is yours. How you deal with it, you are responsible. That's a topic I can talk for so long because I love that word responsibility. So before we blame others, let's ask ourselves, what have I done? Patience, we have talked about it. Let's give ourselves time. Commitment, let's go the extra mile for whatever we have purpose to achieve. Positivity, let's fight, cynical behavior and thoughts where we think negatively, we see negative things, we think negatively about marriage, about work, about our boss, about our religion, about whatever. Everything is negative. Let's put some positivity on it. Sometimes you just need to tolerate people. That is where you choose the battles to get into. Tolerate people. Tolerance is good. Remember, tolerance is not compromise. It's not condoning. It is just letting people be, because they are themselves. Let them be sometimes, especially if they are not your children, because we cannot say that with your children, because you have a higher responsibility with them. Excellence is whatever you do, give it your best. The good thing with giving your best is that the stress of regret is not there. The stress of what might happen is not there because you did whatever you are supposed to do. Then balance, very, very important. Let's create a balance between family, investments, your good health, your mental health, your spirituality. Balance all these things, and you can, because you are not the first one to balance. You can. Let's not put all our efforts on one particular thing, no matter what it is, because life is more than one thing. Then the other one is motivation. Let's be motivated, because when you are motivated, you win battles that even you are not equipped for. You don't even have the capacity, but you are so motivated that you actually get it right. Then we pick a few takeaways from this, which I think you can capture and they can help you. One of them is allow yourself to be a beginner. We talked about this. We don't climb the tree from the top. We start from the bottom. Allow yourself to be a beginner. Once you know better, do better. The more knowledge you get even from this session, please be a better person. Otherwise, you might listen to so many sermons, but they are not changing you. They are not building you. They are not captivating you. They are not making you a better human being. You have read so many books, but you never take an initiative. No more, do better. Stop running away, breathe. Be where you are. You are where you are supposed to be at this very moment. Don't say that you should not be here. At if at all, I will not be. No, 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 no. You are where you are supposed to be. Nature knows you are where you are supposed to be. Now, change the narrative. Be where you want to be in the few days to come. Use disappointment and frustration to motivate you rather than annoy you. You are in control of the way you respond to life. We talked about this. The response matters a lot. Let's not always be reactive. Let's also be proactive. Before something affects us, let's take charge. You are not a product of your circumstances. Don't always be a victim of circumstances. Don't always be have the victim mentality, self-pity. When the extended family you're having an issue, you think everyone is against you. When things are not working, you think it's because you made the wrong choice. Don't always be a victim of circumstances. Don't compare your progress with that of others. Even the trees in the forest are not of the same height. And if they were, you will not see the beauty of the forest. The beauty of the forest is the different trees having different size, different animals being of different size, different people being of different type. So let's not compare ourselves. Then the other one is, in a culture that seeks instant results, let's cultivate the beauty of effort. Some people have made it without effort, but please do not envy them a lot. Do not maybe desire to be like them. Stick to your positive daily rituals. It's very, very important. You'll get there. Patience is a sign of strength. Practice it. We have talked about that a lot. Remember, it's far better to be exhausted lots of efforts and learning than to be tired of nothing. Nothing. Don't just be there. A better word to use. Let's not be indifferent. Just being there. Either you do or you don't do. Not a big deal. Let's be motivated by something. Let's be exhausted by effort and learning rather than by nothing. Your struggle is part of your story. And life is all about struggle. There's no life without struggle. I think our young people and maybe some people who are adults, they want an easy life where you get everything you want. Hey, life cannot be like that. And those people are not the happiest, by the way. Even the people who have succeeded without much struggle, they are not the happiest. Because the way life is, it's like we need to do something for us to get something. Then no life story is one chapter long. Keep writing the book, keep opening the next page, keep knowing what is coming, so that your life is not determined by 1 week experience. you know Something didn't work, so any other thing cannot work. A relationship never worked, nothing else will ever work. Your boss never liked you, you'll never be liked by every other person. Your family hates you, no other people should love you. No, 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 no. Life is more than one story or one chapter. So then we go to questions and answer, and we pick maybe your comments, maybe what you have learned. You can put it in the chat box and all that. Yeah, and that is it. Thank you so much for listening. It was a good conversation, or rather it was a good talk from my side. I hope you have learned. Maybe I can get the feedback from your side. At the same time, any questions that you have, I would really appreciate to answer. And it has been a marathon because I knew it is a lot to cover. It's a very wide topic. We have not even gone to the depth of it. There's a lot that we are supposed to do, but I believe God will give us another chance to do this even in a better way. Otherwise, I open the floor for any questions, comments, clarifications that might be sought. Yeah, so welcome. The floor is open.